to the Detox Network and our Rethink Fit live talk show, where we're helping you to rethink fit so you too can love better how you think, how you feel, how you function.
Hello, Braveheart women. We're back with my lovely hostess, friend, and fellow master practitioner, Sam, for bringing you the pain-free pregnancy, the perfect pain-free pregnancy. This is about women. This is about divine femininity. This is about growing that beautiful spirit within our sacred womb. Women are dropping babies right, left, and center due to infection and inflammation in the lower abdomen. And it all comes from that pelvic girdle. It all comes from the Holy Grail, which is the large intestine. And that is creating weakness. So we're losing babies, we're miscarrying, we're having difficulties with getting pregnant. Yeah. And because of the scar tissue and the crystallization that is being formed within the fallopian tubes, within the uterus, and within the ovaries. When there is inflammation, means that you're on fire. It's acidic. And the body's only resource is to pull calcium from the bones to buffer down that inflammation. And that is creating issues within the tissues of the women's divine femininity.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So we're really here to talk today about ways that we can create the perfect environment to encourage the perfect pain-free pregnancy. And one of the other things is not just the women that are having difficulties at the moment, the men are also having difficulties due to low energy, low libido, which is really sort of induced by stress and our fast-paced life, and also what the men are consuming as well in their diet and in their mindset. So it's bringing two people or two spirit beings together and creating the perfect environment to then create the perfect environment for the baby to form. So that's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. And Sam, I believe that you found this beautiful image for our starting slide. And as soon as I saw this image, I was like the tree of life. And when my granddaughter was born, I ended up taking a picture. We couldn't share it today for whatever reason, but I took a picture of the placenta, and the placenta actually has the tree of life. And as soon as I saw this image, I thought, yes, that's what it is. This is Mother Earth, and women are actually carrying a child, and the placenta has a perfect tree of life, because that is taking the Earth's magic, Mother Nature, and we are part of Mother Nature. We are part of vibrating and bringing that wonderful energy right from the Earth.
It is so beautiful, and actually Sharon shared the picture of the placenta with me, and it kind of took my breath away as to, and we will get this image online at some point.
Yeah.
It's so stunning, and this image that I found, it's really similar. So it was a real nice little moment for Sharon and I. But it literally is like all the veins, and it's the tree of life, and all the nutrients and everything that the child needs is coming from the mother. So then the mother really needs to be that nurturing, healthy, beautiful vessel for this spirit being to come into. And it's just been a really lovely show to put together, actually. We've had some really interesting thoughts come. And so we're connecting the earth's energy and drawing that up, but we're also connecting the spirit energy and the spark of life and bringing that down. And it's about connecting that all together and coming into harmony.
Yeah. And that spirit life, that energy that we're bringing in actually allows us to be intuitive.
Yeah.
And we're opening, and that's what this is all about. And when we are actually preparing for pregnancy. I mean, there's pre-pregnancy, there's during pregnancy, and then there's post-pregnancy. And we can actually encourage the stimulation of all of the cells and all of the energy, because healthy women have healthy babies. Healthy men deliver healthy babies. So when we love, honor, and respect this vehicle, this sacred womb that delivers this beautiful spirit being into this level of existence, well then how beautiful is that? But it really starts with the vibration of the emotions.
It really does. So the image creates the thought, which creates the vibration, which then comes into the physical. So if we're living in a state of fear and contraction, then that's going to be reflected in our wombs, and that's gonna not be a really beautiful place for a baby to come into. So think about what you're thinking about and how you're visioning your birth to be. And we can make this a pain-free pregnancy, which sounds very alien to what we've been fed and what we're told about pregnancy, and actually how pregnancies have gone in terms of hospitals and medical approaches and all those sorts of things. So we're really focusing today on what you're visioning and what you're bringing in and what you're manifesting that you want your birth to be like.
Yeah, because the image creates the thought creates an emotion. And how beautiful would it be if we had such positive emotions when we were creating that little spirit being that was growing inside of us.
Yeah.
And we're just firing in that vibration.
And it's also about
amazing.
Trusting yourself, ladies,
Yeah.
trusting that you can do this, because this is what we have been built for. So if you really tap into your intuition and you connect and you go inwards and know that this is what you're made for, then this whole experience can be a beautiful and magical experience.
And even for women that aren't pregnant, that aren't even thinking about getting pregnant, as far as viewing what's going on with us today, as far as this perfect pain-free pregnancy, we can also share this information, and it's also about creating health within us. It doesn't mean that we're trying to prepare to have a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to prepare to have a baby, and I do many of these things that we talk about, the ultimate activation squats, the nurturing, the high vibration, because we are electromagnetic energy light beings. And the personal treatment and training that we do for the perfect pain-free pregnancy and the BRAVEHEART emotional courses, these are all parts of bringing all these pillars of health together. We're turning the self-care and the natural healing industry on end here as we're walking on this global march of self-empowerment. Because how beautiful would it be if I knew exactly what I needed to do, or if my daughter was thinking about getting pregnant, which she actually happens to be pregnant, and I guided her before that, and I said, honey, this is how I really would like you to live your lifestyle, so that then I encouraged her to start eating things that were different, and I encouraged her to really start thinking things, because we don't realize that as soon as that vibrational being comes within our sacred womb, that then it's time to really increase your vibration. And long before that, actually.
Really long before that. And also, I was chatting with Sharon about this show, and I was sort of wondering, am I well placed to do this show, because I haven't had a child and I'm probably not going to have one. And then I was reflecting on that and just really thinking about, like, there's a really lovely saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think we've lost that quite a lot. Yes. And it's sort of left down to the mother and the father unit, and then they're left alone. So it's everyone's responsibility to know about these beautiful protocols and health, lead by example, and then share that knowledge with everyone. So if a couple or someone that you know is looking to have a baby, you can share this information with them. If you haven't had a child or you have, it really doesn't matter. It's really key information that we need to share and get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're looking at this pelvic activation squat, and we had a beautiful morning this morning in the tent, because we have a Wolf, our whole life coach course going on, and there probably was, I don't know, what, 20 people in the tent?
At least 20,
At least more than
Lovely
20.
early birds.
And we've been demonstrating our morning routine in regards to what we feel is one of the best ways to start your day, with the belly button therapy and putting yourself into a parasympathetic state, a state of healing, a state of calmness, and then doing the breath work.
Yeah.
And then, of course, incorporating the pelvic activation squats into the entire regime.
Yeah, so we've been doing that every morning in the Whole Life Coach, and it's been really nice for me, actually, to be in that practice and teaching others. It's really sort of making me sort of dive into my own practice. And the pelvic squats, in terms of preparing yourself for childbirth, are key. They're really going to really sort of strengthen all of the internal workings, give you some patience, which you might also need as well, and just activating the highway, the information highway, from the pelvis all the way up through the spine into the brain, creating all of these amazing endorphins and chemicals that are good, healthy chemicals for you to feel fantastic.
Well, and then we also have the Wolf non-surgical, because we all need it as far as the Wolf non-surgical goes, and the pelvic squats, and even the vaginal infusions, and the pre-pregnancy, and you can even, I mean, for myself, if I was pregnant, I would continue with that, because you're providing nutrition into that vaginal canal, and you're infusing it, because so much more absorption. But it's all about what somebody feels comfortable with, and we can open and lengthen and strengthen. And these pelvic activation squats are all about that, because we ended up, I mean, we ended up creating these new techniques as far as giving birth and lying on your back, because how would you like to not vomit, or have no stiff joints, or stiff hips, or low back pain when you're pregnant? Or you can't do this because I'm tired, or I can't do this because I'm stiff in pain. I mean, we need to break away from this system of suppression. On a personal level, and you don't have to believe me, you can, or you don't have to, but the bottom line is that when you think of women 100 years ago, and what they ended up doing, like the physical work that they had to do in around when they're pregnant. I mean, they didn't start like laying around and watching TV and on Facebook, because years ago they just continued their work. So they were really active. They did squatting. They did all these things, and then now we've been inundated. So when you talk about a conspiracy, we've been crippled as women to now think that we can't do these things because now we're pregnant. I mean, there was something called the Genome Project that they tried to determine that all these things ended up happening because it's all genetic. And so when women have been made to believe that we're the weakest thing on the planet, and we're not. And I'm done with it as far as that goes. And when my daughter had a baby, and she had a very similar birth to myself, then I thought, oh wow, I mean, she must have something anatomically the same. Well, the same thing that she had was the fact that I passed on that anxiety program to her, and that was the system, and that was the suppression that she ended up being created. So she couldn't really open, and I wasn't part of the Wolf non-surgical team at the time. I wasn't a master practitioner, and it was really difficult for me as far as watching this, or not watching, but observing her to go through this, because I felt, oh my gosh, like really, how could this be? And now I realize that it doesn't have to be. It's all about the program.
It's all the program. So they talk about genetics and it's in your genes. It's really not. It's epigenetics. It's the environment. It's the program that you are around that gives you these symptoms. It's not your genes. It's all changeable if you've got the right tools. And what Sharon was saying as well, everyone's different about the squats. Like if you've been doing squats for a really long time and you become pregnant and you feel really confident that you can continue with them, no problem. If you don't feel comfortable, then you might want to back off them or you know, just adjust them slightly. And that's where a perfect day consultation is really going to be key for you as an individual. You'll get to speak to one of the master trainers here in Ixtapa, and then we can guide you through that and the personal treatment and training. So all of these different elements come in to really help you perfect your perfect pain-free pregnancy.
And I know that from my daughter's perspective, she had this fear of childbirth. And so that fear ran into her as far as all of this goes, because she knew what happened with me. Yeah. And that was the program. So of course fear creates constriction and contraction. So here we want her to be nice and open like a flower and allow this little spirit being to come into this environment, and there's contraction and fears based. I mean, 100 years ago, women weren't fearful of pregnancy and weren't fearful of delivery and weren't thinking all these crazy things that goes on right now and creating this anxiety
and
program.
And you think about like African tribes, women,
yes.
and all that sort of thing, they're still squatting in a field and giving birth.
Yeah.
Like, we've just been a little bit like mollycoddled in a way and taught that we can't do it. And I think that's the other thing, as women, we're just being suppressed by these systems, and we just really need to step into our power and know that we are just built for this.
Well, I know I'm so done with it.
And I know you are, my love.
Yeah, totally done with
very
it.
Done with it.
Absolutely done with it. And that's why we're doing the Braveheart Women's Show, because we want to start talking about this. And please send in whatever questions that you may have, because this is about you. This is about us connecting with you so that then you can create the tools, so that then you can empower yourself and not be inundated by the confusion. Because the confusion is only in here. We're just trying to set the record straight. We're just trying to give logic behind all of this craziness. I mean, look at all the things. I mean, you got to go here, you got to take this out, you got to do all this. And with the Wolf Non-Surgical, we gently go in there and we start opening up the pelvic region from any of the tension and any of the scar tissues that may have been created from previous surgeries, and try to avoid this whole cesarean thing, because a cesarean creates such a blockage within a woman's abdomen, and that blockage prevents flow. It creates scar tissue, it creates adhesions. Those adhesions start wrapping around the large intestine on whatever it can find, into the spinal area.
It's just all combined. And I just wanted to touch on as well, like this is really essential information for men as well, and for men and women to come together and really work on this together, because I think the men have been very excluded from this whole process as well, and just told they're the provider, they come in and they just, you know, provide the money and the house and the rest of it. If you guys can come together as a unit and really work on this, then he can support you in the correct way. And that's going to make a huge, huge difference. So whilst you're going through all the body changes and everything that comes with pregnancy, your partner, whoever that is able to support you and know what's happening as well, and know that, and trust you as a woman that yes, you definitely have this, and they're there to support you and make life just that little bit easier. Well,
then you can anticipate and you can really nurture each other through this process and really get excited. Because excitement that is about happiness and joy and bliss is the excitement we want to create. We don't want to have excitement followed by anxiousness, by stress. We want to have excitement followed by joy. And it's such a joyful time for a family, and such a joyful time for a couple. And if the woman can go through this without all these aches and pains and all of these things that are going on, that, wow. I mean, how beautiful is that?
It is stunning.
Yeah,
and then the baby, the baby then arrives into a nurturing environment. It's been inside in a nurturing environment and not felt the anxiety and the stress and all of the external pressures, because it will feel all of that. We are energy beings, and that we're housing another energy being. So if we're stressed and contracted and feeling all of those sorts of anxieties, then the baby is going to pick up on that and come out pretty damn stressed as well.
Well, and of course, then there's the perfect day diet. I mean, we need to nutritionally support ourselves and bring down the inflammation, because when we bring down the inflammation, we bring down the acidity. And that's why it's so key that you can go on a perfect day diet, move towards a whole food plant-based lifestyle, and then reduce all of those inflammatory foods like the sugar and the dairy and the flour products. I know that when we reduce the inflammation, then you'll reduce the amount of feeling like you've got morning sickness, because it's all about inflammation.
Yeah.
I mean, we get morning sickness and you have all of these like pickles and ice cream and, you know, all these crazy things that go on. Well, that's your bad bacteria that's saying, hey, give me all of this stuff, because it speaks to the brain 9 times before the brain speaks to the brain. And so we want to be in this conscious place where we're actually going to feed the body the way that is most high vibration.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really important then to think about the pre-pregnancy, using the nutrition to get your gut bacteria in the best possible state. So then you're not getting all of those additional cravings that aren't natural. That's the bad bacteria cravings. You want the cravings to be what your baby is asking for, not the bacteria.
Well, and you can still, all the nutraceuticals that we have at the Doc of Detox are all safe.
Yeah.
And the daily cleansing tea, I mean, if a woman has a fear of detoxifying, well, then that might be something that they might not want to take, but it actually does not have any stimulants. It doesn't have any of the herbs in it that actually creates irritation and stimulants. It's a daily cleansing tea that is high vibrational, and it actually encourages the body to create more vibration in it, which is what we want to do, because we are vibrational beings.
Absolutely, and you want to keep everything moving in a really nice and gentle way. And even by doing the perfect day diet and consuming all of the high vibrational nutraceuticals, we're still consuming and being affected by toxins whilst we're pregnant, even if we are doing all those things. So it's good just to keep that gentle cleanse going. And as Sharon was saying, the tea doesn't have any sort of stimulants and laxatives or anything like that in it, so there's not going to be any problems with that there.
So Sarah said that with my first, I craved milk, cows, whole milk, and orange juice. I had stronger aversions than I did cravings.
Oh,
so aversions to food. So foods that you were actually eating and then you now weren't eating. I assume that's what you mean, Sarah. Well, you know, the thing is that when the bacteria and when your large intestine is not functioning properly, then you're going to have cravings or aversions to food. And hopefully the aversions to food were the fact that they were the foods that you didn't want to eat because they were the best ones to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I think that was baby saying no thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's you listening into your intuition there and listening to your baby. So I think that's absolutely beautiful.
So Mira asked a question. I have a friend that has a hard time getting pregnant. Can you talk about that? She's over 40 and has a belief that it is over and she cannot get pregnant. They went to a pregnancy clinic and with no success she lost a few babies. How can you explain so she can hear it? Thank you. Well, thank you, Mira.
Thank you.
Do you want to take this one away?
I would just say this really does come back to the emotional side of things as well. So it would be like looking at the emotions, where they are as a couple. She's 40, that's really not too late. If her menstrual cycle is still happening, I don't think that's too late at all. So work on the emotional side. She definitely needs a perfect day consultation to really just dig into what's actually happening in her health. Is everything moving correctly? Is she detoxifying? Yeah, I think just you've got to look at every aspect. So the nutrition and then certain nutraceuticals would be really helpful as well.
Well, the strategy is the health is all centered around the large intestine, and the large intestine is the Holy Grail. And that Holy Grail, when we have a compost pile and we're not having it function properly, so it's not producing the poop that we need to poop, basically. And so we need to get that out. So if it's creating a compost pile because we have compaction within that large intestine wall, well then we're not having hostile churning and we're not getting the toxins out of the body. So what happens is, and I would guarantee that this is what's happening with this woman, is that the lining of the large intestine starts to deteriorate, and that lining then has these tight junctions in it that start to loosen. And that loosening then creates the ability for that compost pile, which is infection, to spew into the pelvic bowl. And when it's spewing into the pelvic bowl, that infection is being drawn up by the blood, it's being drawn up by the lymph system. And what that does is, because it's inflamed, this infection, and all of the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, the uterus, and all of these beautiful organs, your bladder, everything is sitting there. So that putrefaction is now being absorbed by the tissues of these beautiful reproductive organs, as well as the bladder, kidneys, and it's being drawn up the coccyx tail into the brain, and we're creating calcification. Because the only way that the body can buffer down that acidity is to pull calcium from the bones. So if you have acidity you have infection within the fallopian tubes, and they have some scar tissue formation because the infection is inflamed, and that infection is acidic, and so the body pulls calcium, and it starts to create lactic acid, and it starts to move things around there, the calcium starts layering itself within those regions and creating scar tissue. Now that scar tissue is not going to allow for a proper flow of the egg to come down the fallopian tube from the ovaries into the uterus. And then if you have your man that he doesn't have high energy and he doesn't have really strong sperm that's going to make it to the goal line, well, then you have a double-edged sword here. And so what we need to do is we need to clean up the diet, get some wolf non-surgical if possible, come down here. They're more than welcome to come down here and do the perfect pain-free pregnancy. And it's about the emotions, it's about the nutrition, and it's about going in there and you coming together as this beautiful couple, and encouraging the growth of this spirit being. And how beautiful would that be for 33 days if they did the couples connection?
Oh my goodness.
And then they came together as this beautiful spirit being, and then they produced this beautiful little spirit that comes into this plane of existence.
Even the 33 days of couple connection, I think there's going to be a baby by the end of it, right? It's it's beautiful
absolutely.
work. And like Sharon was saying, like really like tidy up your diet and just get everything moving. And then the non-surgical goes in and gently brings away that scar tissue and opens everything up. And we've also got other tools as well, so you can start clapping the area and using the belly button therapy, and that also helps to start just releasing all of the scar tissue that's been built up.
And the pelvic expander, I mean, that really opens up. And these tools, like these exercises, the pelvic activation squat, the pelvic expander, can be used all the way through the pregnancy, because we want to open and we want to tone and we want to exercise, we want to get circulation, because when there's circulation, well, then there's healthy cells. And the holy grail of healing as far as the exercise component is the belly button therapy, the ultimate pelvic activation squats, the pelvic expander, and the breath work. And when we can breathe, and we can breathe through the heart, and we can really connect to ourself and really connect to the love.
The breathing as well is going to really help your blood flow and bring oxygen into the body. And also a really nice thing to do as well whilst you are pregnant is the breathing exercises and connect with baby with the lion heart breath as well. It's just that would be a really beautiful moment. You can do that morning and night time. Yeah.
And I would also, Mira, advise her to, obviously get a perfect day consult, but also the vaginal infusions. I mean, the vaginal infusions, there's any kind of symptoms are really just the body's way of saying that you're out of alignment. So this woman that is having a difficult time conceiving, that shouldn't be the case, because she's just out of alignment. And the body's telling her, hello, if you want to have a baby, then here you need to look at these different things, because now we can move you back into alignment. And like Daryl said today, we have the best natural health protocols in the world and the nutraceuticals in the world. So these strategies work, and they're proven strategies. And I've worked on little girls from the age of 6, and I've worked on women at the age of 80, in their mid-80s. And they have embraced the BRAVEHEART emotional loving steps. They've embraced the nutraceuticals and embraced the perfect day lifestyle. And they are bouncing back, and they're getting their vigor back.
They really are.
It's amazing.
It's so incredible to see in this community here, the different ages and the different things that are happening. And also for your friend Mira, I think actually this is such a beautiful opportunity, and knowing this stuff, and that you'll be able to take to her and help her, and she can find out more. She will literally just create the most perfect environment to bring a new spirit into. So she's not already pregnant and having to catch up a little bit with that, she's like, yeah, she should be really excited about this. I think it's fantastic.
And we're increasing the integrity of the tissues. So, you know, pre-pregnancy, if we can set ourselves free emotionally and physically, I mean, we can really then create that electromagnetic qualities that goes on within here. I mean, it really is about the spark of life. Because there's only 2 times that there's a spark that is created within the existence of our being, and that's at the point of conception, which this is just such a beautiful image of it, because that's the spark. At the moment that the egg meets the ovum, then that's where life begins, and there's a spark, there's a flash. And then at the moment that we end our life and move on to a different level, energetic level, there is another spark. So I would like to try to create the best spark ever.
Well, let's do that. I think that's a fantastic idea. And if you think about that spark, are you living in that energy? Are you living in that spark? Is that part of your daily experience? Because if it's not, then how are you going to help that spark be created within you? So have a little tap into that. Are you the spark? Yeah.
And are you the sparkle?
Yeah, be the sparkle.
Exactly.
Of course. I love a bit of sparkle.
And when you want to go ahead with this?
Yeah, sure. So the spark of life is the highest. So we're talking about sort of what nutraceuticals can be really helpful. So for the pre-pregnancy, we were thinking about C60, which is the highest vibrational molecule. They call it the miracle molecule, and it's a love harmonic, and it's going to come and help your body create the perfect cell. Our C60 is 99.95% C60. It's 250 times stronger than vitamin C. So imagine that. Then people say, "Oh, vitamin C is one of the best vitamins." It's 250 times stronger. So it's a really beautiful nutraceutical to use.
Yeah, and it's a free radical scavenger.
Yeah.
And when you've got 250 times the strength of vitamin C as far as a free radical scavenger, and the bottom line is that every 7 years, our body reproduces, all of our cells are replaced. And so every 7 years, our cells are replaced. So why not get on something like the C60? And ours is the best C60 on the planet. It's like 99.95%. And I will hold that, and somebody could challenge us on that. And the love harmonic that you were talking about, during the infusion phase of creating the C60, it has to be done in the dark, and the facility that it's done is an FDA approved facility in Canada, and the fellow that produces it, he infuses the C60 with the frequency of love for the entire 2 weeks that it's being produced.
And so if you think,
how beautiful
it's
is that?
just stunning, right?
Yeah.
So you're creating from love, and then you're repairing your own cells with C60, and then that is going into your baby's cells. So your baby's cells are going to be so perfect. It's really beautiful. And with the coconut oil C60, you can put that in your belly button as well. So that can just sort of gently seep in. So you can take this internally and tropically.
Yes, and it will affect your eyesight. So it will actually, I've noticed such a huge difference since I've been wearing the Tesla glasses and also taking the C60. And my optimum, the optimum is to take the 2 teaspoons of the C60 MCT oil per day and hold it under your tongue. So you're taking 1 teaspoon, and then you're dividing it out into the day's routine, and you hold it under your tongue until it goes to water, and then you would take 2 teaspoons of the hemp twice a day. And that hemp oil, it actually affects the endocannabinoid system, which is the lipid system of the spine. So light energy, 75% of our light energy is drawn up the spine. And so when we can affect the endocannabinoid system, which is our circadian system, it's our night and day system as well as the lipid system, we're actually creating more brain conception, more thinking, so eyesight, brain thinking, just more conception qualities. And it's amazing. And thank you, Mary. I'm glad to see that you're on again. You're such a beautiful supporter of our shows. And hi to Maria. And I'm not sure what you mean, Maria. You just have coffee.
Do you want a coffee, Maria?
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't mind a coffee, thank you.
And Sabina, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And we do have a question from Carla. Okay, want to read it?
Sure. What do you recommend to tighten the vagina area? I have had one child by C-section and then the next by vagina, and I have trouble holding my pee. It comes too quickly. I love learning from you ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's an awesome question. So the pain-free pelvis is another course that we have coming up. This is a perfect question for this time. Thank you so much. And this is with the beautiful Nadia, and this particular one is on Zoom, and that's coming up this weekend. And then we have another one coming up in May on the 25th to the 27th. So this course is amazing. It's produced by Nadia and Irina, and they use a certain device that you use, and it's all about tightening and exploring and understanding your pelvic floor and how that all works. There's different exercises and just repairing all of the tissues and really coming into connection with your pelvis. So that would be really, really useful as an additional tool.
Absolutely, and we have the vaginal canal, and what happens is 49% of women over the age of 50 actually drip urine.
Yeah.
And what goes on, because of the inflammation that's created from pooping in your pelvis, because it all comes back to the holy grail of the large intestine, that inflammation starts deteriorating the integrity of all of the connective tissues. The fascia of the stomach lining, that's why people get hernias, because the stomach lining fascia becomes so weakened and the integrity of the tissue becomes so basically weakened, and so that becomes so then you can get herniation through the actual stomach wall, and that now goes into, because of course the large intestine is all around the vaginal area, and all of those ligaments and those fine muscles and connective tissues that run all the way up the vaginal canal, even to the neck of the uterus, that with this pain-free pelvic masterclass, and I've taken it too as well, is that this device goes in and you're actually teaching yourself connection. But initially, it's about putting the fingers up inside of you, because we become so disconnected from ourselves, and especially disconnected with our divine femininity. And we've been taught, oh my gosh, like don't touch yourself, because that wouldn't be a very good idea. And so we go in there initially with our fingers so we can feel all of those muscles of that vaginal canal. And so when we do that with the device, we have something to press against, and we can nurture ourselves and really create blood flow. Another thing that's really wonderful to do, as far as putting in the vaginal infusion, if you so choose during pregnancy, I would totally do it myself, but you would have to consult your doctor to make sure, because all of the products that are in the vaginal fusion you can actually eat. They're food grade products. So when you can eat it, I'm sure that there's not a problem with that. And however, I would do things like I would go in there and I would stimulate it with a vibrator, and I would really get the blood flow, and then put in the vaginal infusion, because we're going to bring down the inflammation. And with the combination of the silver bullet gel with the infinite iodine and the C60, the black diamond crystals, the nanofulvic bright eyes drops, and the frankincense, that really then stimulates that entire area and creates blood flow. And you can turn that around. Absolutely,
you really
Carla.
can.
It's not a problem.
When you stimulate that blood flow and you bring feeling back to the area, because that's the other thing with all of the scar tissue. The physical side of it is the scar tissue, adhesions and all of those sorts of things. But the emotional side of it as well, if you've gone through something traumatic, your brain wants to shut that off. So it's not only the trauma that you've maybe experienced, but also the external influences about how we shouldn't do certain things. So it's about reconnecting all of that, and then once you have those connections and you start to really feel, then you can explore how your pelvic floor is working, and like Shan was saying, with your fingers, with the device, and then you can work out where there's any dysfunction and work on certain areas within your pelvic floor. The course was phenomenal, and I found dysfunction in my own pelvic floor, which I really didn't think I was going to have. So I'm a yoga and Pilates teacher. I've done lots of pelvic floor work, but there is still dysfunction from previous trauma and scar tissue. So just becoming aware of that and then having the tools to know how to.
When we've had any trauma within that region, it doesn't mean that it needs to be trauma that like we, really major trauma.
No.
It's like if we've been in relationships that haven't been satisfying and that creates inflammation because we start, firing off all of these chemicals within because the image creates a thought creates an emotion, and the brain, the chemist, then dumps whatever emotion is. If it's positive, well, then it will dump the chemicals dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And if it's negative, you'll get your hack, histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. And that adrenaline or cortisol will go into the tissue and it will actually inflame it. And that will then create calcification. And so what happens within the pelvic region, that the pelvic bone, it will actually start building up calcification. And with the C-section, the scar tissue starts forming. And that scar tissue will form on the back side of that incision, and it can go 2 to 3 inches. Not only does the scar tissue form, but adhesions form because of the inflammation, and it becomes dehydrated because scar tissue is lacking blood. So you have nice striated connective tissue like this, and with scar tissue it starts to bind itself and it becomes like a blockage, and that blockage then creates the inability for things to flow, so that we can have issues like lack of libido, we can have issues like incontinence because the fact there's not flow there, and we can also have, then we bring in the mix as far as the Holy Grail, which is the large intestine, and then now you have this perfect storm, like Daryl calls it, the domino effect.
The domino effect, and it is like a puzzle. So when you bring all of these things together, so we've created a storm, we've created this domino effect with different bits and pieces and different parts of a puzzle, so we can undo that with what we have here, with the puzzle of undoing it all and creating a healthy environment and just undoing everything. So with the non-surgical, that goes in and then helps clear all of the scar tissue and just opens everything up. And once you're flowing, then things come back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we do is that with the non-surgical, because it's bound tissue, that we just gently go in there and we open up the tissue with the elbow and with the body work, and then now blood and lymph and oxygen can get to the tissue, and it turns itself back to healthy tissue like that.
It's incredible that the scar tissue can then just go back to connective tissue. Like, it just sounds so simple, right? But actually it is that simple, and it does happen. It
really is. I mean, the techniques that Daryl has,
it blows our mind all the time, guys. We're just like,
wow. and seeing the results, I've seen so many profound results. I mean, this woman that was here, that she was in her 80s. I mean, she had pain in her hip and she couldn't walk very well at all. She had to use a grocery cart when she went to get groceries, and her son brought her down here for 8 days to get some treatments, and she'd been following the Perfect Day lifestyle since January, and she arrived here the beginning of April, and the very first day after working on her hip, I'd opened up the blockages that was creating the pain, and she went for a walk that night, not a word of a lie. She went for 2-kilometer walk, and then the next day I worked on her knee. And she came in the following day and said that she hadn't slept without pain in decades. And it was beautiful. I mean, so how beautiful is this? So here at the Ixtapa World Healing and Training Center, we're changing lives. And it's just so exciting. It's really exciting that you can regain your vigor. And in regards to the woman that's trying to get pregnant at the age of 40, I mean, there's no reason why you can't get pregnant.
Absolutely no reason.
No reason.
No reason at all. And just on a personal note, after having my pelvis done, I walked out of the training room, and I kind of had this shimmy that I've not had before, and I was like, my God, what's happening to my legs? I was like, I've got so much. My pelvis was just swinging from one side to the other, and that was just after one treatment. So it really is amazing stuff.
And so Maria has asked the coffee gal.
Hi, coffee gal.
Yeah, is coffee good for me? And I mean, we don't really promote drinking coffee.
No.
I mean, it's very acidic, and it's a stimulant to the body, and you better make sure that, I mean, I don't know how much you're talking about. You're talking about like a cup a day or 10 cups a day, because if you're not conserving your energy and feeding your body with the proper energy, that stimulant, because it is a stimulant, coffee is, that it will stimulate you, but it's false energy. It's not about giving you energy, it's about a stimulant. And if your body doesn't have, if you're not nurturing it and feeding it both emotionally and physically, well then that stimulant will then just create less energy because you're going to have the dive and you're going to have the up and you're going to have the down. And it's not a lot of balance in that.
Yeah, and we're really after alignment and balance. However, I am a coffee lover, so I still have one coffee in the morning. And what I do is I add a little bit of tummy love to my coffee. So it's going to raise the vibration. I know Dr. Wolf talks about adding black gold, which is another really good thing. I personally won't do black gold granules in my coffee because I can't quite manage the grit, though some people do here. But actually, if you've got like a filter coffee, you can put that in and filter it through. So then that's going to raise the vibration of the coffee. Make sure it's organic, make sure it's a really beautiful coffee. That for me, I'm drinking it for the taste and the enjoyment of my morning coffee rather than needing to get high off the coffee.
Well, and and it's all about balance, right?
It really is.
4 cups a day of various caffeine, Maria. I mean, that you've got a fair amount of stimulation going on there, and like Sam was saying, to increase the vibration.
Yeah.
And you could do the bulletproof coffee. I've never been a coffee drinker, so it's not an issue for myself. But the bulletproof coffee, you add the grass-fed butter in there, and you steep the coffee with the black gold and the coffee itself, and then like you're saying, you could add the tummy love.
You can add, the tummy love for me is just less gritty, so I know that's raising the vibration. And if you don't want to do grass-fed butter, you can swap that for coconut oil as well. Really good high-grade organic coconut oil does a similar sort of thing if you're drinking the bullet coffee.
And Maria is also asking about the pelvic mesh. She said she already had surgery.
Okay, if you've already got mesh, then definitely really follow everything that we've been talking about, and I think it would be really beneficial for you to get some non-surgical, because the mesh is going to have scar tissue constantly building up around it, so there's going to be a maintenance thing that you'll be really needing to think about there, but also it's already there, so be high vibrational and loving about that. Appreciate it for what it's doing for you, and don't sort of have a negative connotation towards it. And then just be aware that it is a foreign body in your body, and it's going to need more attention, I would say. What would you think, Sharon?
Yeah, absolutely. And what that mesh does is, I mean, anything foreign in the body's going to create inflammation around it, which is exactly the case, like you mentioned. And that inflammation will create scar tissue, it will create crystallization because the inflammation is acidic, and the body's going to pull calcium from the bones to buffer down the acidity, because we can't have acidity within the body itself. And that's just going to create a buildup. And that mesh will just be a blockage. And that blockage then creates less blood flow. And so if you're having issues like incontinence and issues with, just circulation, if you've had a C-section and you've had mesh, it would be very advisable for you to get some Wolf non-surgical.
Definitely.
And if there's nobody in your area, you can come down to the Ixtapa World Healing and Training Center. And we have travel letters that we can provide, because there's freedom here. And there's freedom of choice here. So there's no V or C, and there's no all of this thing going on. We're living a free society right here, and it's not difficult, and there's not all these fears associated with it as far as cartel or any of these crazy things. This is such. Have you had any problems here?
No, I've really not. You know, I mean, we're laughing about it because we're here, right? And I understand. Like before I came, there was all of these sorts of stories that you would hear, but I can walk around here at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning by myself. There is never any issues. And it's just a really nice environment to come into as well, because you're then surrounded by this community that is here, which is going to support you. And everyone's sort of like-minded and on their own health and well-being, purposeful mission for themselves, and then that rubs off on you as well. So yeah, if you can come to Ixtapa, it's beautiful. But we also do have personal treatment and training. So for example, if you do have mesh or something that's going to maybe need a little bit of extra support as you go forwards, maybe yourself and your partner or a friend could come, and then you learn how to treat each other, and then that's a way that you can then use the Wolf non-surgical whilst you're at home.
Absolutely. And we also do the personal treatment and training, and one of our master trainers will come to you. And it's 35 hours of training. And that 35 hours, then you really learn how to do, and you pick certain body parts, and you can really start nurturing and working on each other. And it's a perfect thing for somebody that's thinking about having a baby, that our personal trainer can come right to you, and you can spend all of these hours, and you can actually it's about a 10-day class that you're doing about 5 hours a day or so, and it's a course that you're working on things emotionally. You're working on things nutritionally, and then with the Wolf Non-Surgical. So we're really going in there and opening up and rejuvenating the body so that then it can be not this like tense, stiff being.
It's really beautiful. And with the personal treatment training as well, if we come to your home, then we go through all of the nutritional, we can really spend time on that. We look through your cupboards, we you know, it's a really in-person experience, and the training you'll just take with you for your whole life, not just the pregnancy stage. It'll be really, really beneficial.
And Sarah has a question. Would you like to read it, Sam?
Yes. Hi, Sarah. What about water fasting for fertility issues? I'm going to pass that to you, Sharon. You've got a little bit more information on that than I have.
Yeah, thank you. Well, water fasting, Sarah, I mean, are you pregnant right now, or so fertility issues? Okay, so you're planning on becoming pregnant, or somebody that you know of is planning on becoming pregnant. So yes, water fasting. I mean, water fasting will release stem cells faster but the advanced water fasting. So the advanced water fasting that Daryl has put together as far as the protocols, you're supporting yourself with Ormus minerals. You're supporting yourself with C60. When you hold C60 under the tongue until it goes to liquid, then it's not stimulating the digestive system. And things like the IGF, 300,000, or the IGF 2,500 or 25,000. These are things that will go in and rebuild and regrow. And so we want to have such strong cells. And when we cleanse them and have autophagy associated with eating up any of the old cells in the body, then the body is rejuvenating itself from a cellular level. And the advanced water fasting, I believe, is going to be kicking off another one of those advanced water fasting somewhere the middle of this month. And you can actually go in and look under the do-it-yourself guides and look in the library under the advanced water fasting. But what you can do as far as kick-starting your health by having all of those all those dead cells and everything all kicked in as far as autophagy. And so after 3 days of the advanced water fasting, that's when the autophagy kicks in, and that's when the stem cell production kicks in. And then we advise like a 6-day advanced, the ultimate water fasting. And when we are supported by the black diamond crystals, which goes in and it crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it actually infuses the cell with up to 70 micronutrients, and then it pulls heavy metals and toxins out of the cell. So it's about detoxifying. When we can detoxify and really encourage new cell growth with the C60, creating the perfect cell, the IGF-1 formulas, and you actually go in and you start creating energy and rebuilding and restructuring, because the human growth hormone has to be broken down by the liver to create IGF-1. We have this beautiful project, but now it is IGF-1. And that's what it's all about. It's about assimilation. And the Ormus minerals, it will actually connect you to the ether. It's an electrolyte. So you're not reducing your body. You're not weakening your body. You're strengthening it through this beautiful fasting, but you're also infusing it with all these minerals and nutrients based on these beautiful nutraceuticals that Daryl has.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So pre-pregnancy, then the water fasting is fantastic to really cleanse everything and get you into, and just remove all the toxins. And also for your partner as well, to do the same and cleanse himself and connect to spirit and earth. And with the IGF, this is really going to help your partner with his strength. I'm just reading some of our notes here, it's made me laugh. So men are having difficulties having babies due to low energy levels, libido. Sperm swimmers don't have enough strength to make it to the finish line. This product is really going to help them as well. So you would suggest having the man on the water fast as well, right?
Oh yes, I mean, your partner could go on the water fast too as well. So why not pump himself
Yeah.
up and the C60 and the IGF and the black diamond crystals and get in there and do some daily cleansing tea and really get nurturing yourself and black gold. All of those products are so important, and possibly coffee enemas depending on what's going as far as what is not going.
And if you're right, and if you're doing it together, you can support
You want to clean everything out.
Right?
Yeah,
You can support each other through the water fast. And also, I think on around day 3 or 4, emotional stuff starts to clear as well. So you're not just physically clearing your body, you're going to get emotional stuff, because we haven't got the comfort food that we can go to when we have things come up normally. It's one of our go-to things.
Yeah.
So once that's removed, you have to let the emotions up and out. So it's a full cleanse.
Yes, and you know, when you think of the fact that you're growing this little spirit being, and you want to grow very strong cells within this little being, so you can start introducing these products like the C60 and the IGF, because the IGF actually, you know, it builds and it maintains muscles. It creates the organizational structure of bone, and it grows and rejuvenates, and it brings back your vitality. So if the man doesn't have the vitality to have those little swimmers beat the finish line, well, then the IGF is what you need to have. And I would suggest the stronger one, which is the 300,000, if you're really wanting to conceive a baby. Definitely. And the emotional, the couple's connection in the BRAVEHEART 12 Loving Steps. The BRAVEHEART 12 Loving Steps are an essential for any couple that's considering bringing this little spirit being into this existence. Because the BRAVEHEART 12 Loving Steps will bring you down to that place, not down, up to that place of self-love, where you're vibrating really high. Because if we can't love ourselves, then how can we love a little being that's coming in? We need to teach that being, that little girl, that little boy, just like I did with my granddaughter, that she needs to love herself first and foremost, before anyone or anything else. And when we do that, then we instill the love that they're experiencing. And you know, that's why we can love children so much easier than we can love other people, because we're actually sparking the love that's inside of them, because they know no different. They're just these little goobies that are just having these like little fun experience and just being in the moment and just happening and just all, I mean, they're not worried about what's happening yesterday or tomorrow, while the parents are over here just like freaking out.
Right.
I mean, like, so that's what we want to do.
We really do. And then, so with all of the loving steps and the emotional work, if you guys get yourself to a place of self-love, then you're not looking to your child to fulfill that for you, and then the child is not learning that they get their love externally, because they are the love. So it's your responsibility as parents to love yourself so much that you are already full, and then you're not looking for it from your partner, and then you're certainly not looking for it from your new child. So
Absolutely.
it's the emotional the emotional part of this is so important. And
yes, the emotional entanglement. So we want to have an emotional entanglement that's based on a positive vibration.
A positive emotional entanglement is definitely
right?
It's definitely what we're looking for.
And I know with my granddaughter, I'd taken one of the first courses with Daryl Wolf, and I came home and she was just under the age of 2, and we were like, I could hear everybody like, I love you, including myself, I love you. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to take this little girl into the mirror. And I did, and I took her into the mirror, and I looked at her, you know, I got her to look at herself in the mirror, and I said, honey, I said, Grammy, this is what I do, is I look in the mirror, and I say, I love you, first and foremost, before anyone or anything else. And I said that I want you to just look in the mirror and say, I love you, Maria. Because I wanted her to understand that she needs to love herself before, I said, you need to love yourself before mommy, before daddy, before Grammy, before nanny, for all of them. Because the fact is that if she can love herself first and foremost, then that's the name of the game. Then she doesn't have to learn it at the age of 50 or at the age of 60 or at the age of 20 or 30 or whatever it is, as we've run all these adulterated programs that are really keeping us suppressed.
And this is really one of the things that we're doing here, is we really want to create a new world, a new life for the next generation coming in, so they don't then have to deal with all of this emotional baggage and all of the heaviness that we've had to deal with, so that they're coming into a world where they don't have that to deal with. That's what we're really looking to teach people, how you create that in your life, and then we create that for the babies coming through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know my granddaughter, when I'll say to her, so who's the most important person to love? And she'll say me, and I'll say, and don't you forget it.
So wonderful. We've just not been taught that, Sharon.
I know.
I
mean, it's so simple. And when we can, because under the age of 7, 0 to 7 is when we program them. And so it's really important to try to catch them before that point, because then it's a little more difficult after that, because it'll be like, oh, that's silly. You know, and she'll just be playing toys randomly, and it won't even be after I've spoken to her or whatever, and she'll just turn to her mom and she'll say, you know, Mommy, I love me before you and Daddy first, she says. And so it's like, that's good. My daughter was like, that's great. So there was a question from Muriel, and she said that she just popped in about 10 minutes ago, so she doesn't know if this question was already asked, but I would like to know what you can recommend if one never experiences an orgasm, or I'm sure the 3-day
pelvic course
would be excellent for that, isn't it?
Yes. Hi, Marae. It's lovely to see you on here. Definitely do the 3-day pelvic course. It's such a beautiful thing. It's a really intimate setting, and it takes you to a completely different level of connection with yourself, and it will definitely push you through a comfort zone level that you've maybe not been to before, but the results on a personal level have skyrocketed for myself. So I would definitely do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I know you're coming here, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there'll be another 3-day pelvic course after I'm not sure when you're planning on coming, Muriel, but there'll be one after every one of the Wolf non-surgicals so we're doing one here that will end the end of May, and then a few days later, and we'll discuss those dates a little bit more thorough as far as when those pelvic pelvic
I'll let you know,
course.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Marie's my client, so
beautiful.
And we're hoping to have you here in September, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Okay, Sarah, I'm wondering if this is my Sarah as well. My daughter, who is 10, is doing Braveheart Oath twice a day with me. She really loves it so much. She told her teenage mentor, and oh my God, about it at school. That is just so adorable, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing. Please get your children doing the Braveheart Oath.
Yes,
this is so beautiful.
Absolutely, as soon as you possibly can. And Muriel, the IGF would really be very beneficial for you to be taking if you're not already taking it.
Absolutely, yeah. That will be very helpful. We'll chat about that.
And you know, Sarah, the thing is that that's what we're doing is that as we as leaders within our family, then we're encouraging the next generation, and that's what it's all about. When we lead by example, and then we can really, nurture our family members and things too as well through this process. But it's only, when we have our children, we can really encourage them too. But when we have spouses and other family members, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult. And so we lead by example, and that's how we become leaders.
Exactly, it really is leading by example. We've all tried to help our family members or friends, and sort of when you find something new that really works for you and you want to share it, but actually just by doing the work and leading by example and loving yourself so fully that it just radiates out, eventually people will start to ask you, what are you doing? What is it you're drinking? I've been asked that recently. Can I have some, please? I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
The fountain of youth.
Exactly. And then you're going to automatically help people. So have some patience with this as well. Just work on you. The rest will follow.
Gentle, loving baby steps.
It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is. You can drive yourself a little bit mad trying to help people if they're not ready. And then you're bringing your own vibration down, right? So it's all about you first, and then just let that ripple effect happen.
Yes, and it really comes down to the parasympathetic nervous system. Driving yourself mad is all about the fight, flight, fright. Yeah. And we live in such a society of anxiety and stress because we're so busy being human doings. and we're not centering ourselves back into this place that is this present moment. And one of the most powerful things is to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of the whole belly button region, and we can do the belly button therapy, and you can certainly go on to the Doc of Detox and find out information in regards to that. But what we want to do is we want to nurture, we want to rest, we want to repair, and then we can reproduce.
Exactly.
In this perfect pain-free pregnancy. Because when you follow these, and I can say that this is so tried and true as far as our success rate, that when you follow these strategies associated with the nutrition, the emotional components, the physical components as far as the exercises and opening and strengthening, the nutraceuticals, when you follow this strategy, there is success, and you can bring yourself back to alignment, because there is no disease. It's only dis-ease, that these symptoms are only signs of being out of alignment. So the parasympathetic system, it creates the vibration of the love symphony. So when we are in this beautiful place of just Zen, where we can actually see and we can bring in the vibration of our infinite creator. Yeah. I mean, the psychological creates the biological. And if we can calm ourselves down and move ourselves away from the fight, flight, or fright, and breathe in through the heart and nourish ourselves, we can maintain that alignment of the physical and the mental.
We really can, and we're feeding our spirit in that visualization, and just trust and believe that you are well, and that you are just increasing your wellness every day with gentle, loving baby steps, and just come into the parasympathetic as much as possible, and using the tools is really, really going to help you with that. The clapper is also very, very essential for this, and so we'll be coming on to that in a wee while, and that just stimulates everything and also brings you into the parasympathetic.
Well, and when we think of the fact that we have this little being in our womb, that whatever vibration that we're throwing into our bodies is actually vibrating within them. Yeah. Because until they can hear, where they grow ears, they can't hear, but what they can pick up on is the vibration. Because we are vibrational beings. So the vibration of the food. So all that's left in the body after we ingest our food is the vibration of it. And so when we look at things and we want to increase the vibration, the most inefficient way to increase the vibration in our bodies is to eat food. The most efficient way is to listen and to have all these high vibrational thoughts, high vibrational people around you, high vibrational music, all of these things. That's the best way to feed our body.
Oh, it really is. And when you think about how that helps you on an individual level, if you're feeding your mind, body, spirit with high vibrational content, then imagine what that's going to do for your baby. So it's so important, and just to catch yourself if you go into that fight or flight sympathetic state where you're contracted and not feeling great, like what are the tools that are going to work for you just to bring you out of that as quickly as possible and take you back to that rest, digest, repair, and to really keep yourself in that environment where you're able to reproduce. I think that's really where we're going today, is bringing yourself back to the parasympathetic, being in that relaxed state so you can nourish yourself and your baby.
Absolutely, yeah. It's, it really becomes so simple when you look at it.
It really is, and it's making me laugh quite a lot today. I don't know, I think maybe I've had a few light bulb moments in the last couple of days. I'm like, this is actually all really simple, but it's not when we're so heavily programmed. And we're not trying to get rid of those programs, because that's another thing I think that we do, is we're trying to push things away and get rid. We're just going to rewrite them gently. So just be really patient with yourself, breathe, love yourself, and just give yourself permission to reset in every moment and just start again. Start again and rest. Start again and digest. Start again and repair. Like every moment, every now moment is a reset.
Well, it is, and really it comes down to the fact that if we can keep our vibration going, if everything is open and vibrating,
Yeah.
then when we bring a block in here, or a block in here, or a block because we've been chopped open,
Yeah.
then those are just creating blockages within our vibration. So it all comes down to vibration.
It really
So
does.
I just want to good vibrations.
We so need to
You know?
sing this song. We've been doing this for a
Yeah, we
couple of
do.
weeks. Right, we'll do it in the next show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about the
Okay. So a couple more tools is the clapper that I just sort of spoke about, and then there's also frankincense oil and moringa. Now these two oils are both very high vibrational, and they're fantastic for reducing scars. And so if you're thinking about, and also a really good way to prepare yourself. So pre-pregnancy, if you use these oils, they're going to help with stretch marks. You're going to avoid stretch marks. If you've already got stretch marks, you can use these to just really reduce all of the stretch marks, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, and we'll show a demo on the clapping in a few minutes here. And the moringa oil, I mean, it's got the highest levels of something called behenic acid, which is an omega-9 fatty acid. And it's the most coveted anti-aging oil in the world. And so it nourishes, cleans, and it repairs.
Amazing.
And so when we combine that, we can put the frankincense on, and it help reduce stretch marks, and we can prepare the skin ahead of time before you actually conceive. You can do dry brushing, you can do clapping, because it's all about the microcirculation. That's where the health is. The health is in the microcirculation, which is all the tiny capillaries and the blood vessels and the cells and the lymph. So when we clap and we bring our skin to pink, then we've increased the microcirculation, and that microcirculation then ends up pulling the toxins out of the skin. And if you end up getting any kind of so-called bruising or anything like that, we could talk about it more in a little bit. But yes, so clapping and massage. And we can talk also about the areas that we would clap at various levels of pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and then post-pregnancy.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's just all about gentle, loving baby steps and nurturing yourself and connecting to yourself. We become so disconnected.
So disconnected. And the other thing is, start where you are. So if you have already had children and you have stretch marks and you have all of these different things that you're trying to deal with, just start where you are, and that there are things that you can do to improve that and bring you back to a more youthful state. And then if you are pre-pregnancy, there's things you can do to avoid it.
Did we have the clapper thing in here? The clapper slide? I don't think it actually
It was
made it in here.
it was with the moringa.
Oh, okay. So did we want to show the clapper?
Yeah.
Let's
We can
show
do a
the
little
clapper.
demo.
Yeah, let's actually do the demo of the clapper.
So
whoever has their clapper, you can certainly join in with us, because this is one of the most powerful tools.
It's
It really
fantastic
is, and
tool.
it's like $25.
It's very reasonable for what it does.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't have a clapper, you can just use your hand. So you can definitely clap with your hand. So we can do this seated, right? Because I think we're going to need the cameras to be where they are.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do it seated.
So pre-pregnancy, you're going to work on your pelvis and your abdomen area. And so I'm just going to start clapping, and you can join in. We'll just do a few minutes of clapping, shall we?
For sure.
So you want to hold the clapper sort of right at the end, and then we're just going to clap.
Yeah.
You want to think about a heartbeat clap.
Yeah, that's the rhythm, just like the heartbeat.
My heartbeat was a little bit fast then. Thank you for that, Sharon. And I'm going to try not to clap my mic as well. And just come in and just start some nice, gentle breathing. And ideally, you want to do this on bare skin, so then you're really bringing in the blood flow to the area.
Stimulating, and really bringing, like Sam was saying, really bringing the blood flow into the area, because our microcirculation is responsible for 76% of our circulation. Yes, 76%. So our arteries and our veins are only responsible for 24 to 26% of our circulation. So when we go to the doctor and everybody talks about arteries in the veins, arteries in the veins, arteries in the veins. Well, no, it's more about the microcirculation. And we have beautiful energy medicine equipment like the Avicen, which increases the microcirculation by 66%, and the clapper. I mean, so what we're doing is that we're increasing that, and what we're doing is we're going to now rejuvenate the tissues, pull toxins out of the tissues. And if you get any kind of bruising, as we would call it, it really is just toxins coming out of the skin.
It's just toxicity, and so when I first started using the clapper, I did bruise in certain areas, which just was a reflection for me to see what was going on, and to see that I had some work to do with like really clearing out my diet and bringing in the nutraceuticals to help cleanse the toxins. It's not something to be scared of, and it's certainly not a reason to stop clapping. In fact, if you are getting some bruising, you let it settle down, and then you go back and then you redo it, and you'll notice that the more you do, the more the bruising will reduce, and that means that you're taking yourself to a really beautiful cleansed state.
Oh, absolutely. And it really helps you connect to yourself. And you can do this pre-pregnancy, you can do it during pregnancy. We just wouldn't advise you to clap right on the baby in the belly, but you can do down into your pubic area, into the buttocks, onto your arms, and it's really important that it's consistency. So if I do it today, then I may miss, if I do my arms and I'm clapping, and you can start off with the smooth side, and then you can graduate to the bumpy side if you like, and then you're just going to just like the rhythm of your heartbeat, and you're just going to just nice and gentle and lovingly, because you know that you're actually encouraging and you're stimulating.
Yeah. And actually, in like your third trimester, when maybe you're possibly not moving around quite so much, this is such a good tool to get your lymph moving. So clap your lymphatic areas, and to really help stimulate the lymph, so that's still moving well. That's a really great one.
And you've got lymph here, lymph nodes here.
And then the other thing is, when you are like heavily pregnant and this doesn't feel like you don't want to use the clapper, just use your palm, and you can just gently palm your belly button area. It's going to be a great way to connect with baby, and you can very gently pat as well, just say hi to your baby, but also stimulate the blood flow.
Yeah, and what you can actually do too as well is you can actually you can clap. I mean, this is such a beautiful way to reduce any strength and revigorate or rejuvenate yourself, as far as like if you're feeling like a little tired or anything like that. You can clap the back of your neck, and you can clap your scalp, and you can clap your face. And some, like I know Daryl does it for an hour every second night. And a lot of times, I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll just be clapping my face and clap into your thyroid. Just be gentle, loving baby steps, and really encourage the circulation, because there's only one little thin layer of tissue here. And I clap into my neck and just really stimulate the blood flow, because that's where the health of the tissues is. It's like the microcirculation is like, if you didn't have the side streets and you only had the highways and byways to get to your house, and you didn't have any side streets, well, the microcirculation is your side streets. So you're going to knock it home out of the park.
Definitely. The clapping of the back of the head, for me, really helps me wake up. So if I'm feeling a little bit tired, or it's been a long day and I've still got stuff that I really want to do, and especially if you're pregnant and you're having sort of some tired moments, you can, this clapping along the occipital line, for me, is a brilliant wake up. I love that one.
And I mean, you can be on the essential fatty acids, the Ocean's Essentials, which is actually a really beautiful. It's made from seal oil, so there's no heavy metals and toxins within it, because it doesn't come from fish, and it's just a beautiful product which helps with the skin, and really helps nourish the skin itself. And then when you're, after pregnancy, post-pregnancy, then you can really clap, and it will help increase the circulation with any kind of stretch marks that you may have. And I would highly advise that you do the clapping and maybe the dry brushing, and then adding the essential oils like the frankincense or the moringa oil, and then just really rubbing that in and really just nurturing and really encouraging the blood flow and the circulation.
That's lovely. We've got a couple of questions that have just come up. How can I get rid of vaginal scar tissue after getting 3 vaginal births and tearing the whole way through? So I'm definitely going to recommend the vaginal infusion for that, and just really start nourishing the area. And then I also think massage with your fingers, and going in and massaging the area to really help break down the scar tissue. And then clapping the pelvic area as well. I think that would be really helpful.
And I know we're holding a Zoom class for the pain-free pelvis,
The pain-free
which
pelvis.
would be fabulous for you to to take advantage of when the next course is starting.
Yeah.
And if you have an opportunity, come down and just take advantage of the courses that are being held here. And you don't have a clapper, you could just use your hand for the whole body.
Maria is
Yeah,
saying she
and you
is
just
using
do
her
that.
hands,
Yes,
yeah.
for sure.
That's awesome.
And when we use this term postpartum, it is such a catch-all term for after a baby is born and what ends up happening to a mother. And you know, when we're adding all of these like components associated with scar tissue and constipation and hemorrhoids, I mean, you could use the CBD suppositories, which would really be helpful for the hemorrhoids, and the clapping, which would really be helpful. And as far as the pelvic expansion and the pelvic squats and any of these types of exercises, as soon as you're emotionally ready, and the sooner you're emotionally ready to start, the better.
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is we want to increase the circulation so that then your milk comes in and you really have a healthy baby. But when you didn't provide, postpartum is a catch-all term because what actually ends up happening is that you didn't have enough energy in the body pre-pregnancy and during the pregnancy because you weren't nourishing yourself both emotionally and physically. And what ends up taking place is that when you're not nourishing yourself with enough energy, that then the body is not putting energy into our bank. So our bank account of energy is not being filled up. And then when you have the baby, you know, the baby's up at different times of the night or whatever, and you're actually pulling from the non-storage tank of energy that you now need because you now need to support the life of this little being. And so you go into anxiety, and that anxiety can create depression. So the body had to create enough energy to pull off this pregnancy, this miracle of bringing this life into this level. But then when the mother hasn't infused the body with the right amount of energy, then you go into a state of depression, which is what ends up happening with this whole postpartum thing.
And I also think we're programmed to believe that that's just the way it is and that's what's going to happen. Like, as soon as you say postpartum, like, that's the vision that you get, isn't it? That you're just this absolutely wasted wreck and you have a baby that's just sucking the life out of you. That's kind of the vision that I kind of get from that. And it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
So if you use all of these tools and you prepare yourself well enough, you're going to come out the other side full of energy and increasing energy as well, because once you start these processes, your energy then starts to naturally increase. So you will find that you'll have enough energy, and the whole postpartum thing will no longer be.
Because you start stealing that energy when you're growing this baby inside of you. You start stealing the energy from your organs. You start stealing the energies from the tissues because the baby needs to survive. And then when the baby is born, then you're imbalanced because your energy levels are off. And that's why it's so key to introduce these nutraceuticals, introduce the exercise program, introduce the emotional training so that then you're emotionally filling yourself up. Yeah. And then getting your rest and really nurturing yourself, because it is all about self-love and unconditional love, first and foremost. Because if you don't do this, then you're going to end up suffering with this so-called catch-all term about the postpartum. And the postpartum is just the body's way of shutting down so that then it can have enough energy so that you can help the baby. I mean, nursing and whatever else it is.
Exactly. And I've just had a thought, like lots of my friends that have had babies or other people would say, I'm gonna eat as much cake as I like because it's the only time I can because I'm getting fat anyway. All of those sorts of things. Well, you're feeding yourself toxins and the baby, and it's just these programs, like those sorts of things, like, oh, go on, have a bit of cake, you can because you're pregnant. Like, how about we feed ourselves high vibrational, nutritional foods and nutraceuticals to give us the energy that we require, and then that is also passed on to the baby. I just had a thought about that. It's insane, some of this stuff. So yeah,
it is. And so then it's just like a normal thing because we've been sabotaged by, I mean, it's like the copy and paste world. Is that now, oh yeah, well, she's just doing postpartum. Well, no, she's doing post non-energy.
Yeah.
And so the body's shutting down because it needs to. I mean, it's just like, what is a healing crisis? There isn't a healing crisis ever. It's the body stealing energy from everywhere else, from the organs, etc., because we've disrespected our bodies. And so when we go in and we start trying to nurture it through these programs and these strategies, like what we have with Dr. Wolf with the the Perfect Day consults, and what we are doing with all of these wonderful protocols and these strategies is to support the body, that now the body kind of goes into a bit of a fatigue syndrome, because now all these toxins are being pulled into the system, and you've got to flush them out. And it's just, every toxin has to go into a fluid state before it can actually be sent out of the body. Yeah. And it's really comes down to that we're not loving ourselves enough to feed ourselves with all the high vibrational thoughts,
which
and emotions,
comes back to
and
love
people.
yourself first.
Yeah, it all comes back that.
Yeah.
So when we, and the parents, it's not our faults, because our parents only did what they were taught from their parents, and we're not trained. So how can we love ourselves, and how can we take care of our child?
And I just think that's another really important point to touch on, is there's so much pressure, so much programming, so much guilt and so much shame, and they are all just programs to dampen us down, to make us depressed and make us feel like we're not worthy. So those programs have to be rewritten. So if you're feeling like, oh, I've done this wrong, I'm guilty, like that has to go, and just take responsibility for yourself, for the love that you need to give yourself, and let yourself off the hook and reset and start again.
Mm-hmm. It totally is, because we're copy and paste, and it's reset and start again.
Just start again.
And we've been hijacked. So now we don't need to be hijacked anymore, because here at the Ixtapa World Healing and Training Center, we're creating a global march to self-empowerment. And really, postpartum is a program of dysfunctional beliefs.
It really is.
It's all about anxiety, and we need to nourish, honor, and respect us as the ultimate importance. And so things like the black diamond, the frankincense, the moringa, the dry brushing, the CBD suppositories on post-pregnancy, the vaginal infusions, and all of the vaginal infusion is, like I said, it's food grade, non-toxic. And if you're considering doing it while you're pregnant, consult your doctor. And I just know what I would do, but it doesn't mean that that's for everybody. It's just only what we can do as far as just encouraging. So down here we have what?
So we have we're down in Ixtapa, so we have our courses, the New World Practitioner. So our courses are, I can't quite see the screen, Sharon. Okay, I'm going to start again. People aren't logical. Training is not logical. We have created logical training. It's like a hurricane has been unleashed. All the pieces of the puzzle have been thrown into the air, and we are putting them together. Daryl has spent over 40 years doing so.
Yeah, we're turning things on end.
We really are.
We are.
Including ourselves.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I'm loving every minute of it. And it has been like a hurricane.
Yeah,
I mean, how
really
confusing can natural health be? There are so many natural health practitioners out there. And that's what ended up happening with me, is that when I first heard Daryl Wolf, I knew that my passion, my purpose was to become a natural health practitioner. And I became, I dibble-dabbled in it, but I knew that it wasn't strong enough for me to be so confident that I can take people to the next level. And I can guide people to the next level, to encourage them to go to the next level, to really get their vibrancy of youth back, to get their energy. There's no reason we should be lacking energy. It's because we're lacking self-love, and we're lacking the ability to be able to turn this around. And so what we do with the Perfect Day strategy is that we give you the strategy, the supported strategy, so you can baby steps, lovingly bring yourself, and we are putting these pieces of the puzzle together, or Daryl has, from the hurricane of confusion, and that's what it's meant to be, because then we don't even know what to believe. It's like, quite often I'll talk to somebody and they'll be like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'm like, well, you know what, let's just focus on one thing, like the Daryl Wolf strategies, because that's what I know works, and when you start, then you just get more confusion, and that's what the name of the game is.
It really is, and it is about working on yourself to reduce that confusion and come into a space of balance and alignment. And once you start to get to use all of the different aspects of the perfect day, the puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle then do start come together, and it's not necessarily in a methodical way. They kind of sneak in different areas, but eventually you'll feel that place of alignment and then be able to share that with the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. So we have in Ixtapa the new World Practitioner certification in May and June. So we've got the Whole Life Coach starting on the 29th of May through to the 6th of June. And then we have the Wolf Non-Surgical on June the 9th through to the 20th. And then our next courses here in Ixtapa in our June, July. So that's the Whole Life Coach. Starting on June the 27th to the 5th of July. I am reading it, there's no way of getting away with it. And the non-surgical, Sharon, can you read that a little bit?
Well, the non-surgical will start on July the 8th. So what we do is that right now that Daryl's in the middle of the Whole Life Coach,
yeah.
and that ends here in a few days, and then the Wolf Non-Surgical starts on May the 11th, and then we run these courses. Typically there's 3 of them in a
Blocks
row,
of 3,
so that people can come down here and get their Master's Practitioner certification, and to let you know that this is the safest place you can be. And it is not that difficult to get here. So just contact us and we will help guide you in regards to that, because people are driving across borders, people are getting into planes, they're getting exemption letters using our travel letter, so that you can come down here and change your life.
Yeah.
And really honor yourself and really move forward. I mean, we need leaders.
We
need more leaders.
We need this message to go out to the world and create a ripple effect of healing. So by you coming here and learning how to look after yourself and love yourself, you then ripple effect that out to the people around you, and then they ripple it out to their people around them, and it just keeps going. And the other thing I would say is that we've got people here from all over the world. So if you think that you're coming from somewhere that is feeling difficult, trust me, it's really not, and we'll find you someone that's already done the journey, and we'll work out the best way for you to get here.
Yeah, we have people from Australia, from the United Kingdom, from the United States, from Canada,
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
It's all over.
Yeah,
It's
all over the
everywhere.
place.
Singapore. I mean,
Yeah.
the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So yeah, just contact us and we'll give you a hand with that.
And so what Daryl has decided to do is to offer some courses in the United States and in Canada over the summer, which the Whole Life Coach course in Dallas, Texas will start on July the 11th, and it will run till the 20th, and then the Wolf Non-Surgical will follow that from July 23rd to August the 5th. And then in Toronto, he's going to Toronto, Canada. He's going to be offering the Whole Life Coach starting on July the 28th, and that runs till August the 5th. And the the Wolf Non-Surgical, we're starting on August the 8th and run till August 21st. He's also he's heading to Texas here next week, and he's doing a talk in Prosper, Texas.
And it sounds great actually. So it's a really in-person, sort of intimate talk where, he's going to just be, it sounds great. He's going to be talking about, just give him a call if you're interested in that. If you're in Prosper, Texas, or in that area, call in and have a chat with Daryl about that. I know he's very keen to. And
extension number 5. So if you want to register that, it's going to be, there's quite a big home that he's talking in, and it'd be a great opportunity. And if you even want to just come there and find out about the upcoming course in Dallas and find out any more information and see what works for you, and you can now join us in those areas too as well, and then we'll start more courses in the fall. So please join us, because we need more leaders. And of course, it's all about the perfect pain-free pregnancy, the personal treatment and training that we offer. And you can go to thepersonaltreatmentandtraining.com to find out details in regards to what those personal treatment and training sessions are all about. It's 10 days, and it's really, look at the Perfect Day consultation. It's a life strategy, not a Band-Aid. The 4 loving steps, smiling, the lion heart breathing, the mirror work, the love band.
The love band, just bring it back to the present moment, bring it back to yourself, your self-love, and do the daily practices. And like I've been saying throughout this show, just reset. Anytime you feel like you're having a little wobble, you're coming out of alignment, 3, 2, 1, you've got this. Reset and start again. Start from where you are.
Yeah. It's focusing on your celebrations, not your traumas.
Oh, very much so.
rewriting the story, like Sam had mentioned earlier. It's one of the 12 loving steps, the Braveheart 12 loving steps. And you can go on to the docofdetox.com and you can sign up. It's one of the master classes. The A to Z Wellness too as well is another master class. The A to Z Wellness goes through every body part and talks about the emotional component of that body part and about what we do as far as the physical component. And it's really a fabulous course, and you can sign up for that, and I've got a coupon code that will zero it out when you enroll, which is Wolf Non-Surgical, and of course that's Wolf with an E. And the other master class is the 12 Loving Steps, which is the emotional intelligence, and that master class coupon code is Braveheart Free.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to start because it does all start with the emotions.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and come down here
absolutely.
and take advantage of what we've got going on here. We have a beautiful jungle juice bar. You can come down here and you could come down here for weeks. You can come down here for 6 weeks, come down here for 6 months. The people here are absolutely amazing. They're such beautiful people.
It's such an incredible environment.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to get to. We have an international airport right here in Zihuatanejo, which is like 10 minutes by a taxi. Fly into Mexico City if you're coming from the UK, or if you're coming from like further afield, or you fly straight down into Ixtapa if you're coming from the States. It's
and
not
Pagita,
difficult.
as far as where in Texas, is going to be in Dallas. And if you're wanting to find information, you can go to braveheartnation.com. Ghislaine was kind enough to put that link up in the comments. Thank you, Ghislaine. And really, it is about focusing on yourself and really just loving yourself and allowing yourself to soar.
Yeah.
And that's what we are.
We are made of stardust. I love this slide. When you breathe and connect and really think about what we're made of, we're just beautiful spirit beings. And when two spirit beings come together and create an environment for a new spirit being to come into the world, then it's just magical. So when you really think about it, the invisible creates the physical. Free your mind and the and just create the stardust children that are waiting to come into this onto this plane and be with us.
Yeah. Because they're still, and that's why we migrate so easily to children, because they're just so pure and they're just so sparkly. And we just migrate to them because we want part of their sparkle.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just create sparkle within ourselves, and then we just all are like little sparkly beings?
We need to be the sparkle for them as well, and that's all about embracing your inner child. And I think you're right. That's why we're attracted to children and just their spirit and their sparkle so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's really what this is all about. It's about creating that sparkle and really embracing it. And we so love the fact that you joined us today.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, so shall we end with the Braveheart Oath?
Let's give it a go.
Do you want to say it yourself?
Oh, thank you so much. Of course I do. Okay.
Okay, you go for it.
Thank you, lovely. I am love. I am healed. I am Braveheart. From the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I promise to trust, honor, respect, protect, and totally love myself, first and foremost, before anyone else or anything else, so help me God. Because I am, I can, I am healed, I am Braveheart. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And next week, I believe we're going to do the Avicen. We're going to start a series of energy medicine.
Fantastic.
And it's going to be wonderful. We'll feature one every week. And we really enjoyed the fact that you joined us today.
Yeah,
and we just want to say, from this beautiful love band to you, 3, 2, 1.
You've got this.
You've got this. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Sending you love. Bye for now.
You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and he's sharing it really openly and just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul, and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the whole life coach certification is all about. In the whole life coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change that they wish to see, that they wish to be. They become the gift to the world, because when you can stay in the present, and you can't do that until you have unconditional love and care for yourself. And I'll tell you something right now. I have hardly even found 1 out of 1,000 practitioners, or even so-called whole life coaches, that can hold the present moment and own it and then give it as a gift. And this is what I'm going to give to you. And when you come here, this is where you're going to come into this room when you need to find alignment, you need to find balance, and you need to get back into your lion heart breath, because we're going to go deep into your heart, and we're going to become the spark that you seek.
And actually what I really love about Dr. Wolf's teachings is that unconditional love is literally it. And then you're like, how can it be that easy? That's just silly. So, but it's really not.
Come play, Come stay, come train with us today. Understand something. I know we have fear, but understand, that's just false evidence appearing real. I get it. Stick your toe in, feel the water, but then I want you to dive right in because
How I found my Braveheart was through Daryl. He really teaches you to go within and go in through your heart and not your mind, because your heart's a lot more connected to so much more than your mind. Your mind is just so conditioned and your heart is just so open and beautiful.
you're the answer that you've been looking for. Let me teach you how to fly. What does that mean? First, love yourself, Braveheart. Let's take life in and win.
I had just lost my husband a couple of years ago. With his passing, he gave me the greatest gift to love myself. But Dr. Wolf gave me the greatest gift in understanding that.
I had a dream 3 years ago that I would live in Mexico and I would have this training center, this teaching center, this treatment center that would touch the world. Your dreams are never too big. And when they start to create a little bit of anxiety, turn them into excitement. And get excited because this is your life.
He's the first doctor that I have encountered that has truly given me the truth, and not just half-truths, but the full truth. So it's been revolutionary for me in my healing process.
And this, my friend, when you take on the dream of all dreams and you realize that if you stay connected to your breath, that you can have it all. Do not let anybody take your breath away. Do not let anybody steal your dream, okay? Listen, God gave you imagination. This is your sandbox of life. Take your life back. Right now, we are teaching courses to people that have come from all over the world, and the government is saying you can't travel, you can't breathe, you can't have this, you can't come together. Yes, we will. And we will do it with unconditional love for each other. And we will learn to grow. We will not judge each other. We'll observe and see where we can support each other. But at the same time, we will hold the Braveheart line, because this is the only way that we can grow. So find your roar, because you're so much more. And learn this. You are the unconditional love that you've been looking for. You are the dream maker. I can't wait to see you. We want to become that small piece of the puzzle that brings your dream together. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think it would take to turn your life around? I can tell you right now, I learned that a long time ago, what the key was. And anybody that has been able to perfect the perfect day on an emotional, physical, and spirit level knows this. The answer is massive, personal action. That's what it's going to take for you to turn your life around. And to turn your life around, you're going to have to go within if you want to change without. And that's the bottom line. And you know, people think that they can do it like with a consultation, or maybe they can do it with a telephone call or a Band-Aid or a 911 emergency, a treatment. But understand, that's not the way it is. The day that you realize that when you master your mind is the only time you're going to master your body. Forget your life. That's always going to be just random luck until you know that you must become the master of your day. From the moment you rise until you gently close your eyes, you must be the only authority for you. And if you think that getting an hour consultation is going to do it, it's not. If you think that going for therapy is going to do it, it's not. You have to submerge yourself into what we would call the personal treatment and training. And you need to do that from anywhere from 6 days to 10 days, or you need to come for my whole life coach certification, because if you don't go in deep, you'll never make changes. They say it takes 10,000 times for you to repeat something before it becomes a prominent, dominant thought. And if you understood that 70 to 90% of all your thoughts are not yours, and they say that 70% of your thoughts are toxic, tell me they're not. Take a look at the majority of the population. 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease, which means the body is attacking itself. Before that, though, the person was attacking themselves on a subconscious, unconscious level. And that, my friend, is the bottom line, and why you must take a personal treatment and training and go deep and understand how to run your life. What that means is learning how to think, how to drink, how to eat, and knowing when somebody is mistreating you, when someone is disrespecting you, because until you honor and respect yourself, no one else is going to do it. So understand, this is your life. If you want to live your passion and purpose, then you must become the master of your mind to become the master of your body so that you can become the light for your family. So please, consider this. You've got the time and you've got the money, because you're going to change the rest of your life for the rest of your life, and that's my guarantee to you.